Welcome back to another episode of the Fourth and the Mile podcast. I'm Nicholas Elliott alongside JD Zasa. We're recapping week 6 of college football, which was action packed to say the least, and heading into week 7, which is a very good slate if you like these primetime matchups. Let's head right into the headlines of the week, where
Let's start with who do you want to start with this week? I mean, this was like a 2007 week. It's like a 2007 week of
yeah,
chaos.
well, let's head into Diego Pavia 300 total yards and leading Vanderbilt over a monster upset, which none of us saw coming against Alabama. Well, let's head right into that game. But I want to hear your thoughts first, and then I'll give mine.
So, before the season, at this time, I expected to have a loss. I expected this year, at the start of the year, to be 10-2 this year. Now, with that being said, I expected us to lose the Wisconsin game or the Georgia game. Never in a million years that I thought lose the Vanderbilt, but here we are, and this was the most embarrassing loss I think I've seen as Alabama. Because I on Saturday I talked to you privately about I think Louisiana Monroe was worse. After thinking about it, I think this is worse just because of what Alabama is now.
You agreed with me. I told
I
you
now
that.
agree, I now agree with you, which is sad.
Yeah,
I wanted to be the optimist here, but no, I you were right. I think this is embarrassing. But did I take it hard? Not really. I mean, they Vanderbilt, if Bama would have lost like a normal loss where they played good, it's just Vanderbilt played better. Vanderbilt just completely dominated the game. And honestly, they deserve to win. Am I
yep.
wrong?
No, you're not wrong. I'm talking about when you say normal loss, the normal losses in the past couple years with Alabama hasn't really been that they've been outplayed the
They've been
whole
out
game. It's
and
been like two or three mistakes. But this game, they were completely outplayed in the trenches, which
they
is
were completely
nobody saw.
dominated.
Yep.
And I could not believe that in the slightest. What's your take on this game?
I mean, they just kept running the same plays. And every time they would like check out their option looks and they would pass, guys would be open right in the middle of the zone. It seemed like Alabama really wasn't like changing its scheme much after like looking at like some film on Twitter on showing different plays. They were really sticking to their same base defense the whole time. So really, Vanderbilt didn't really have too many different looks that they were looking at before like pre-snap.
Okay, let's go through the game. So let's start with the offense. I thought Alabama's offense played about as good as you could have, considering the scenarios,
Yeah,
considering what happened, because time of possession, they had about 18 minutes, a little less than 18 minutes, and they scored 35 points. That's pretty good. But Vanderbilt had 42 minutes of time. Um, the fumble, they had Alabama two turnovers. One of them was a pick six, which I thought was a weird play just at the start. I was just like,
it hit off Ryan Williams' helmet and bounced like 10 feet in the air. There's really nothing you could have done on that.
it wasn't a great call. I didn't love the call on third down, but also, yeah. And the strip sack kind of
No,
ended.
I mean, it's not really Milrose's fault when you're
Pritchett, I believe,
Pritchett just whiffed.
got beat.
He just
Uh,
whiffed his block.
the stat of the game, though, if you would have told me this at the start, besides time of possession, then I would have said, okay, Vanderbilt might win this game. Vanderbilt was 12 for 18 on third down. And these were long third downs, like third and six, third and seven. It was embarrassing. And they had 166 rushing yards. I thought they had more, to be honest.
Yeah, me too.
Was bad. Like
Their running back
was an
Shedrick Alexander had a really good game.
it was
He
an
seemed like he was like a bowling
abysmal
ball.
performance by the defense.
Yep.
Abysmal.
Yeah, I give shout out to Clarkley and Diego Pavia. I mean, he's an Alabama and Auburn killer, and maybe he has a
Yeah,
chance to
Jacob
be on
Papia
again
is a
in
killer.
November.
He played the game of his life. He
Yeah,
played great. And all credit to Vanderbilt. All the credit to Vanderbilt. They've been the laughing stock of the year. But also, this isn't the Vanderbilt. When people say this is the most embarrassing loss of Alabama, the reason I didn't say that on Saturday is because this isn't a bad Vanderbilt team. This is
no,
a Vanderbilt team.
I
It's
think a lot of teams just look at him
it's
differently.
because it's Vanderbilt and what
Yep.
they've been, not what they are, what they've been.
It's also just been looking at their schedule. They lost to Georgia State. I mean, that's probably makes the loss a lot worse for Alabama fans.
But they easily could have been 4-0 at this time.
Yeah.
They almost beat Missouri. They
Yeah.
got Texas. Texas should worry about them. There's
Yeah, they got it. It's a tough offense to scheme around.
because it's a triple option. It's a
Yep.
triple option. They play whenever they had
Well,
the option.
it's not like your Navy. Yep. It's not your typical Navy or Army where your quarterback really isn't a threat to throw the ball. Pavia is a threat to throw the ball, and he can hit you in the seams, hit you in stride. He's a good quarterback. I mean,
And when was the last time Alabama played a triple option team like this? The Citadel?
yeah, Citadel made Mercer, and it's like an FCS team.
The thing I was just embarrassed on is how bad the defensive line looked. They
I
looked
feel like
terrible.
we haven't had Alabama hasn't had a defensive lineman that's been elite for a while.
Probably since
Christian Barmore.
ooh, I could have gone more back Quinn and Williams. I mean, we've had edge rushers that have been good. Will Anderson,
Yeah,
obviously.
I mean they know how to set the edge, but the
Defensive
inside run has
lineman.
been
I
bad.
thought DJ Dale was really good. He wasn't dominant, but he did his job, which is what
Yeah,
honestly, I just want my defensive line to do their job. They did
yeah,
not. Tim Smith and Team Kinney did not do their job, and the rest of the defensive line do not do their job.
yep. Before we head into the next game, I do want to shout out Navy and Army. They're both undefeated so far, and Navy Army, that game is going to be awesome
That game is going to be
season.
awesome.
They're both offenses look good.
That could
Navy,
be for a playoff spot.
I
That
know
Navy
that's what I was about to
could be
say.
for a playoff spot. This is peak college football.
Yeah,
This year could be one of the best seasons we've seen in years.
yep. I'm. I mean, are you worried of Alabama like moving forward, or like what's your thoughts on the outlook for the rest
They're
of this?
not they're not as good as I thought they'd be, but also they're not a bad football team. Let's get this out of the way. They're not going to be 7-5. This isn't a 7-5 bad. This isn't even a 9-3 bad. But I wouldn't be surprised if we saw another loss.
This could be like the 2022 season where it's like a 10-2 battle.
But also, this team gets in the playoffs with two losses
Yeah,
because of what they're scheduled. Let's say they lose to
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Who are their wins? Missouri, who's going to be top 25 probably at the end of the year. LSU, who's going to be top 25 at the end of the year. Tennessee, who's going to be probably top 10 at the end of the year. And Georgia,
Uh,
who's going to be top 5 at the end of the year.
we'll see about Tennessee.
Tennessee is going to be top 10 or
Maybe top
borderline.
15 at worst.
That's if they lose to Oklahoma. If they lose to
Yeah,
Tennessee, you still got that Georgia win. That Georgia win saves like a ton of things.
everything.
It's a statement. It's like the best win. It could be the best win of the year unless some
Well,
other.
like the committee, how they've been like doing, they go by strength of wins, strength of schedule. Nobody's gonna have a better win unless Ole Miss beats Georgia than
Why
Georgia.
did why did Alabama go all the way up to 1, even though they probably should have been 2 under Texas? They had the better win.
Yep. I agree with you. I think this could be like the perfect loss that the team needed, just like a gut punch, a wake up call. I mean, teams need a wake up call, but like you didn't want it against Vandy, but it may have had to happen.
DeBoer needed to learn DeBoer now knows this is Alabama. This is unacceptable. DeBoer now knows that. And it's trial by fire. This is what you signed up for. Welcome to Alabama. It's gonna be bad if you lose, especially to Vanderbilt.
What was it like for you at the player? You were at the player like press conferences yesterday. What was that like? What was like the mood?
Um, it wasn't as bad as I thought it'd be. They were actually super positive. They're like folk. They're like, especially like Malachi. The captains are like, yeah, we know what happened. It's unacceptable. But you can't just talk about the game. It's like finish. We're never gonna let that happen again. Like you saw, like the locker room in the end was like brothers. They were brothers, but also they were like, this is not gonna happen again. They are gonna remember this loss every time they're in a close game. They're gonna go like, guys, do you remember what Vanderbilt was like? Do you want that to be again? They're gonna go, nope, and they're gonna.
Yep.
And another thing that's nice is that Vanderbilt runs a offense that I don't think anyone else is going to run. You're going to have to deal with scramblers, but I don't think anything that bad. But you're also going to have to face some really good offensive lines coming up
Yep.
and some good passing. I thought the pass defense didn't look awful. I didn't think it looked awful.
Yeah.
Like it's been the run defense, but also they should have at least had been a little bit on third down. But
I think we can both agree that the before we're gonna move on in just one moment, but I think the difference in the game, right, the changing moments of the momentum was you get off the field on third down and then you punt. Everybody thinks you're fielding the punt, fair catching it, and then you have two number twos on the field, and then that extends the drive for another
I
six
think that
plays.
was it. I don't think that was it for me.
Yeah.
I want to know the momentum shifter for me. Jalen Milrow is in the end zone. He's in the end zone and he throws a missile 50 yards to
Oh
Jordan.
yeah. Yeah.
He's one step over.
We
What does
saw
that
that a lot last year.
what does that do? Gives Vanderbilt another possession to score a touchdown. And
Yeah.
another one that really hurt the 4th and 1 touchdown. Remember when they had a 4th and 1 Tiago
Oh
Ball
yeah.
around? If you stop him there, you have a chance.
That
But
was a
also the
dime
strip
on
sack,
that blast.
strip sack hurts. The strip sack really hurts, but also defense should have given him enough time to at
Yep.
least
Have chance.
did. They never did.
Well, heading into this game where it helped at least cure some of the pain from Alabama fans. Tennessee getting upset by Arkansas on the road. No, I don't. I think I didn't see it coming one bit, but looking at the line in Tennessee only being 13 and a half kind of sussed me out a little bit. Just thinking, oh, Arkansas might have a chance to just cover this game at least. No, they
Arkansas needed
dominated in the first
win.
half.
Arkansas needed this win badly for the program.
Sam Pittman needed it even more.
So bad. Like just the program Arkansas, not just Sam Pittman, the program of Arkansas. When was the last time they've had a massive win like this? '07
Texas.
LSU. No, Texas did it didn't Texas wasn't good then.
Hey, they stormed the field for that game.
But truly, their big win. This is a statement, like a huge,
Yeah.
huge. Looking at the game, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Arkansas were pretty even in the rushing game. Tennessee had 176, while Arkansas had 137, which was surprising to me that Tennessee rushed really good. I mean, we know they're good, but this is the thing that surprised me. Taylen Green outperformed Nico. Bobby Petrino and Sam Pittman's offense beat Josh Heupel. Are you looking at the stats right now? Arkansas had 297 passing yards compared to Tennessee's 156. And
Yeah.
Tennessee had 16 points. Guys, this is Heupel.
Looking at
Like,
Tennessee,
at worse. The
yeah.
Oklahoma game, I was like, oh, that's the worst we'll see at Tennessee all year on offense. No, they don't look good on offense.
Yeah.
Their defense is really good. Their defense is good, but there are weaknesses to that defense. Like I was saying, like I said, I'm not sold on Tennessee yet to my friends because I want to see him play someone. I want to see him play on the road.
I still think that number, the Arkansas, like what they scored, it still doesn't really give me like an impact of what they actually did. Because that first half, they left like 17 points off the board that they easily could have had.
Yeah.
They had a couple like fourth down and shorts that they just could not
I mean,
execute
they
in the
also won the
red
time of
zone.
possession. They had 35 they had 35 and a half minutes of football while Tennessee only had 24. But yeah, Tennessee just looked off. Like they
Yep.
looked off all year. Like Oklahoma and Arkansas, they've looked off.
Yep. Tennessee was able to drive down the field, but whenever they got past the
I,
50 in
their
Arkansas
red zone.
territory, they would all Nico would take a big sack. Arkansas's front seven played amazing that game.
Yeah, and that's where you're gonna have to do the beat a Tennessee team. Like Arkansas
Yep.
played the game of their lives.
And then Taylon Green went down with that injury. He played really good.
But then their
He
backup
made some
looked
big
really
passes.
good. They ran the ball.
He made some really good throws. They both
Ran the
did.
ball, ran the ball.
Yeah,
That final
Malachi
drive by
Singleton.
Arkansas was a thing of beauty from the backup.
Yeah, Malachi Single. It looks like so they're on a bye week this week, Arkansas, and it looks like I was looking up while you're talking about the stats and stuff, what Taylon Green's like update is on his injury, and it looks like Sam Pittman said he's day to day right now, and he'll be back, most likely back for the LSU game next week,
That's
which
good for
they,
her. It came
which
at a good
Arkansas,
time too. This upset came at a good time too because they're gonna sit back and watch LSU play a massive game that we'll get into later in the show.
and then they play
Arkansas
LSU off that game
this
at
year,
home.
this year, I've been really impressed with Arkansas.
They could be 6-0
They're
right now.
really, they're good. They're good, like not bad. Like A&M, they almost
It's
won.
good.
Auburn. I picked the Auburn game from
Look,
Oklahoma State game.
the Oklahoma State game, they
I will
needed that.
never bet. I will never bet Arkansas. I can't hit an Arkansas bet besides the Auburn game because I knew Auburn was worse. I can't bet an Arkansas game.
They were up so big
When
in
I pick
Oklahoma.
Arkansas, they lose. When I bet Arkansas to win Oklahoma to cover Oklahoma State and Texas A&M. They lost. When I don't pick them, like I picked Tennessee this week, and I picked other game they played. Doesn't matter. They won.
Yeah,
I can't pick an Arkansas game.
I don't. I like Nico. He's a good player, but
He's young.
scheme is very weird for him.
He's young.
Yeah.
He's young. He's going to be a really good quarterback.
I mean, can't help but mention that they were losing receivers left and right in that game. Square
Yeah.
it went down. Was it Brew McCoy went out?
But
I
you
think
know they're going to look great against Alabama.
yeah,
Everyone does.
definitely. I'm not too worried of Tennessee's defense. I mean, they played good. They gave them just couldn't do anything. Florida could be a little bit of a weird matchup
This
in
was,
15 and a half.
can I tell you this? Maybe this is the reason why Vanderbilt really didn't hurt as bad for me.
Yeah, me
Arkansas
too.
saved my year because like I was down and I was down so bad after Vanderbilt, but then I was watching this game. I was like, I literally was on my couch. You saw my couch on Monday, and I was like, "All right, Tennessee, come on down. Let's go down together, buddies."
Yeah, they played good. Arkansas. I'm glad we don't play Arkansas this year because we'd have to play them in Arkansas. They got a tough defense, really good. I mean, good running quarterback that would give Alabama trouble. I mean,
I'm more worried about another team that we're gonna. I'm glad
yeah,
we're playing another team that we're not. We're not.
yeah. Let's head into that game.
Yo, you want to head straight into that game? Missouri
Yeah,
into Texas
Texas
A&M.
A&M.
Texas A&M was a 2.5 point favorite going into the game, and we both picked A&M in a game that kind of was a pick 'em at the time, where some
Yeah,
people really followed it, and some people were also like, "Missouri is Missouri underrated?"
or they
No,
overrated.
Texas A&M. what a statement win for Mike Elko. Like this was a statement. Texas A&M has been on fire this year. And
It's good to know.
this win proves what I kind of said to my friends. Elko's the guy for Texas A&M. This is what A&M's needed for years. A coach that doesn't go for star players, but tells them to play physical and play blue collar. That's what he calls it. He calls it blue collar, just like Nate Oates does. They play blue collar football, and that's what this was. They rushed for 236 yards compared to Missouri's 68.
When you think of A&M and Texas, Texas is like the Ferrari school, and A&M is like the
Yeah,
trucks. Silverado, they're blue
Texas
collar.
is the one that gets all the money. A&M's the agricultural school. They're the ones that
Exactly.
get into the mud. They play dirty. Texas is the one that gets all the money and all the speed.
And A&M empowers that. And I thought
This
it was a gutsy call by Elko starting Connor Weigman off the injury and especially all the backlash he got after the week 1 game against Notre Dame. And he comes out and he just
he plays
blitzes.
good.
And he played really good.
Weigman's going to be the starter. Like he's going to
Yeah.
be the starter this year. He's the guy that gives them the best chance to win. Marcel Reed's really good, and that's your future. But Wegman, he's a good player. People forget he's a really good player, and he showed it. Texas A&M had 512 total yards compared to Missouri's 234.
Domination.
Luther Burden tried. Brady Cook did. Brady Cook's not good.
Brady Cook's not good. Yeah, he's not good.
Missouri time of possession was pretty even, but that rushing game is the main thing. How bad is Missouri missing Cody Schrader? How bad are they missing Cody Schrader from last year?
I mean, they tried filling him with 2 transfers, and they're just not doing it. Nate Noel is solid from Appalachian State, but he's just not. Nobody's gonna be Cody Schrader level.
If Missouri didn't have Luther Burden, this would be one of the worst offenses like in the SEC easily.
Yep.
Like worse than Vanderbilt, worse than Arkansas. This team is bad. Luther Burden saves a lot of bad things Missouri's been doing.
And Missouri could, or not Missouri, but Texas A&M could really be 6-0 or
I'm
seven and
not
0
I'm not I'm
right now.
not I'm not going that because this year has been weird.
Yeah. I
This
mean,
is
that
just
Notre Dame team is still good, so it wasn't like it's a bad loss or anything.
Notre Dame's not a bad team, but also that loss really hurts still. Like at least
Yeah.
Bama's loss looks good because they almost beat Missouri. They're good. It was on the road, but like, Notre. I still
I'm
think
starting.
Notre has the worst loss of the year, but man, this is pretty close up there.
If they had any futures, where if it's just a team to make the playoffs, I think Texas A&M could be like a flyer or like a sleeper team that I could see sneaking in at 10-2 or something. If they can pull out a win against Texas, especially.
Were you the one that sent me the ticket prices for that game?
I did not, but I
You know
saw
what
that
the cheapest ticket for that game in November is?
it's like
Because
$1,000.
right now it's like 5-1 versus no. Texas A&M, the cheapest ticket is $1,500.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So yeah, Texas A&M. I told this is the one prediction I've got it right this year. Guys, Texas, watch out for this team. Watch out.
They have a path to 10-2 or 11-1.
They have a path, but this year you probably lose to like Vanderbilt. They
They
probably
could. I mean, they have a couple of trap games in there. I mean, Mississippi
knowing
State, I think they
knowing this
handle
knowing this
business.
path, they lose to start. They lose to
Yeah,
Starkville and Mississippi State. They lose to a bad
yeah.
Mississippi State team, or they lose to South Carolina and Columbia. Just knowing this year.
Looks like I feel like if A&M wins this game and LSU beats Ole Miss, I think that game is going to be the 6:30 game for October 26th.
That might be game day.
Oh wait, no, that's out.
That could be game day. That could easily be game day if it's in Baton Rouge. But really, it doesn't matter. right now we're giving the flowers to A&M, and this A&M, wonderful job. Like, wonderful job.
They're on a
That
bye week right now.
looked great. You looked great. Enjoy the win. Get ready for coming up because this year, now you're going to be Texas A&M is going to really rise up in the polls, and
Yep.
there's
Well,
going to
right
be
now they're off this week, so they have a bye week headed into, and they play Starkville next week. But I think this is good for them to sit back because it's going to be a crazy, no more upsets, and they can just continue
Wegman.
to sneak up.
Wegman can get Wegman can get healthy. Mark, Wegman can get healthy. They can get everyone healthy for
You
this
want to
stretch.
know what a nasty game is this weekend? Just looking at like the SEC's
We'll
slate,
get we'll get to that when we get into previews.
Missouri going into UMass.
Ugh, that's a career ice game. But
Missouri traveling to Massachusetts. But let's head into After Dark Madness.
how Miami beats Cal. Comes back from 25, I believe. 25.
Yeah, they outscored them 21-3 in the fourth quarter
Did you stay up for this
and won
game?
by 1 point.
Did you stay up for this game?
So I watched it on the side because I was playing Xbox with one of my friends, but I had it on, and then once it got towards like the last 2 or 3 minutes, that was the only thing I was occupied on was watching that game, and it seemed like there was like multiple swings, this and that went Miami's way. Cal's offense in the first half was insane. Miami had no answer, and then second half, Miami just dominated.
Miami, Cam Ward is Heisman. Him and Ashton Gentry are my Heismans. Cam Ward and Ashton Gentry are the two Heisman favorites right now. Like, is Miami a good team?
We
I
don't
don't
know.
I don't know. Is Cam Ward really good?
Yes.
Yes. My Miami has been waiting for someone like Cam Ward for years. When I went to bed when it was like Miami had three and California had like 25. I don't remember the exact score.
Yeah. I mean, I
I was like, all right, I'll wake up and see that's another team. 4-1, 4-5, all going down. But then I wake up and going, how the heck did Miami win? And then I watch the game. I'm like, oh, Cam Ward, Cam
Cam
Ward,
Ward, and they got a couple calls that
and
weren't calls.
California took the gas pedal off.
That too.
They took their foot off the gas pedal.
They were
Come on,
having
California. We could have had the funniest woke. Could have talked about the woke, Miami being woke. Come on, man.
Cal was really like successful early on with their play action pass, and it seemed like in the second half that they just tried running the ball because they were up so much that they could just run clock. Nope, that they weren't
Cal
running it
could have
well
easily
all
could have
game.
beat Florida. We could have had Cal beat Auburn, Florida State, and Miami, but no,
Yeah, Cal's
no,
not a bad team though. They're solid, but
no.
I think the difference. I mean, they missed a ineligible man downfield, a targeting for that. It seemed like it could have been a textbook targeting, but I mean, who knows what targeting is right now? They're seeing a lot of missed targetings that usually would be textbook targeting, but I guess that they're not.
Agreed. So getting into some other games that we'll just quickly talk about if we have something. UCF goes down to Florida. Florida looks solid.
Yeah, they look
Looks solid.
competent again.
Yeah, big win coming out of the bye, and now they get Tennessee.
Whoop de doo.
What do you do? Auburn puts up a fight, but eventually falls to Georgia. I don't think Georgia's like this isn't the Georgia of recent memory.
They got some holes.
Georgia doesn't look like the
They're missing Smile Mondin in a big way.
and then obviously they have another off the field issue that we won't get into.
Yeah,
Probably a game of the one of the most underrated games of the year that no one will talk about. But Syracuse beats UNLV in overtime.
that game was awesome.
I was so rooting for the UNLV. I want them to win that game so bad. I was watching that game.
Both quarterbacks played really good.
I was watching that game after I got back from high school football, and I was rooting for UNLV so bad. SMU takes down Louisville. I told you.
Yeah, pony up. They have a way. They have a path to the
We have
ACC title.
we have a path. I see the path for the Mustangs, but
It kind of helps that you don't play Clemson or you don't play Miami.
yeah, our big game, SMU's biggest game is Florida State, and
They
we don't
whooped
know
them.
what they are. Let's see. Tulane 71, UAB 20. Tread Dilfer, year fired.
Yeah, goodbye, Trent Dilfer.
Indiana beats Northwestern. Indiana's undefeated.
They got
Indiana's undefeated. Who would have thought?
they got a good quarterback, Curtis Rourke.
Really good quarterback. Let's see.
I was
Oklahoma
looking at
State,
the
Oklahoma State continues to be one of the most disappointing teams of the year.
yeah. There's always that one team that's hyped, like they're gonna already locked, penciled in the
It was
playoffs.
Florida
They,
State. It was Florida State.
Florida State, Oklahoma State's clinching up there.
Nebraska plays a cover your eyes game against Rutgers 14-7. That's Big Ten football at its finest.
Nebraska didn't sell against Illinois. They would be undefeated.
Ashton Genty
Quite ugly.
continues his Heisman campaign as he went 13 for 186, and they took him out. He could have
Yeah.
easily had over 200 yards in this game. Boise takes care of business. Not really surprised about that.
Ooh,
Clemson beats Florida State and Doak. I thought Florida State looked fine.
Clemson is just a
Didn't
better
look
team.
that bad. It didn't look that bad. Florida State didn't look that bad. But
Ouch.
yeah. And the biggest game, two big games that we didn't really talk about. USC falls to Minnesota.
Not surprising at this point.
Not really, but it was going into Minnesota. Minnesota
I think
built
anytime you see USC play against a team that likes to smash mouth football, then you just close your eyes and probably just take the other team and
and
not
pray
USC.
that their offense carries. They did not.
Yeah.
Michigan loses to Washington. I kind of saw that. I saw this coming from a mile.
I in my pick'em league, I had Michigan, but I was like, why would I pick Michigan when it's a revenge game from the national championship game? I completely
It's also
forgot.
Michigan doesn't have a passing game.
They brought in some quarterback
Will
like
Rogers looked really good. Will
yeah,
Rogers, he looked solid. And another late night, Texas Tech. They're on a
that was
roll.
a good game.
They're on a roll. They take down Arizona. They're 5-1.
Yeah, they're solid.
It's 5-1. They've got Baylor, TCU, Iowa State, Colorado. But their stretch is coming up. But Texas Tech, they're 5-1.
Speaking of Nebraska being 5-1, real quick, they're on a bye week this week. Next 2 weeks, they play Indiana on the road and Ohio State on the road.
Everyone at the start of the year thought that Nebraska Indiana game would be nothing and it'd just be the game before Ohio State. Now, legitimately, that could be game day. Maybe I mean it's. I don't think
Maybe.
it's game day because it's the 19th. When do
Yeah, it's
Nebraska?
the 19th.
Yeah, you're not getting game day, but
Maybe
in
if Nebraska would have beaten Illinois, you could have had game day.
yeah, Indiana could get game day probably for Michigan. I think they could get it
Maybe.
for the Michigan game
Just depends how they're doing for the rest of the
or the
season.
Washington game about on the 26th. If that's not a huge week, I think
But
Indiana should give game day at least once this year if they can.
show them
I think
love.
I think they'd be awesome for them.
Get some interesting. It's a lot of top 25 matchups. A lot of top 25 teams who'll be going down this weekend. That's all we know. What's
Yeah, they could. Yeah, Indiana could easily hold. Indiana could easily get game day on the 26th if they hold up their end of the bargain.
already? Let's head into the game number 1 of the week. South
This
Carolina
week
at
is a
Alabama.
huge week, just in general.
Yep.
Game of the week. We're really starting with South Carolina, Bama.
Yeah, just this is the appetizer.
All
I mean, it's
right,
11 a.m. We can go by the timestamps, I guess.
I'm gonna be on this. I'm gonna be on the field for this game. filming for my work. So
You have a good recap for us on next week, is what you're saying.
pretty
Because you're
much, yeah,
close and personal.
I will be on the field. So for this game,
What do you want to see?
defense. Like, what's this defense going to be? Can you stop the run? Because they're going to run with Rocket Sanders.
Can you contain Lenore Sellers?
Can you contain Lenore Sellers? Yes. I'm not worried about the passing game.
Yeah, it
Not in this
wasn't very
game.
good against Ole Miss.
Not in this game. It's going to be a run game. What about you?
I agree. I mean, I just want to see if they can have a better. I mean, you
How do
can't
you
have a first third
respond?
down percentage. How do
How
you
do
respond? Yeah,
yeah. It's just like you got embarrassed. Like, embarrassed. And Mark Ingram said it's atrocious. You don't lose to Vanderbilt at Alabama. And it's true. All credit to Vanderbilt, but you
yeah.
don't lose. You don't lose to the nerds.
I think another key special. I want to see how the tackles do for Alabama right against South Carolina's front, which is good, especially their edge rushers, Dylan Stewart. I want to see how he does.
Don't start an animal.
If you if there is one person who lights up on film against on South Carolina, it's Dylan Stewart, and
Yeah.
he's like what everybody thought Harold Perkins was as a freshman. He is that.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's elite off the edge. He gets to guys. He has speed, agility. I mean,
If I'm if I'm Alabama, look at the Ole Miss tape. See how they kind of carved them up and how they played the offense. Because they have Walter Nolan, yes, who's great. You need to figure out how to stop the run game. If you can do that, you'll beat South Carolina handily.
yeah. I just want to see a better third down stop percentage. Get
I
off the
agree.
field on third down.
I agree.
Just win the game. I don't really care about dominating. I mean, this team has already had highs and lows.
Just
They're
keep
not going to
winning.
dominate team, but just
Just
win the
win.
game.
Just win the game.
They all
People
count the
care about
same.
the spread. People care in our circles about how much I don't care. Win the game. Win the game. Get ready for Tennessee.
Let's head into a
But
game at the
don't, but
10.
don't. I think they learned this lesson. Don't take this team lightly.
Yeah, 100%. Shane Beamer, there's a good, solid coach. They got a solid team. I mean, they're still rebuilding. I mean, after losing a lot of guys, the portal, losing your quarterback last year, hopefully he's a starter of my pro team. Um, but let's head into somewhere familiar for you, the Texas State Fair, the Red River rivalry. Have you been to the Texas State Fair a lot?
I went every year in
So what's
Dallas.
like the environment like down there during that week?
It's incredible, man. Like it's a bucket list thing. You gotta go to the state fair.
What's like your favorite food there?
I always just get like a Fletcher's corny dog, which is like the most famous thing you get there. But people like this year, like the main thing is like a cotton candy deep fried bacon.
What
Like
the heck?
they deep fry everything. Like they last the one I remember was a cotton candy taco where the taco is like a waffle cone, and
Yeah,
instead of beef, it's like cotton candy. Like
that's
the kind
wild.
I'm a huge fan of the cotton candy. I just get regular, just a bag of
Yeah,
cotton candy, and I'm a happy man or a happy boy. When I'm at the fair, I'm a happy boy.
this game
But
is gonna be
but
awesome.
I am from Dallas. I have never gone to the Red River. This is top of my list to go to. I this game is no joke. My favorite game that's not an Alabama game every year. I get this game every year and I just sit down and I watch it. If it's a good Red River, it's a really good year. Red River, close and good Red River games are the most fun I have watching college football. It's why I
This
love the
one,
sport
this one's
because there's
very
no press
interesting.
because there's no press boxes in the Cotton Bowl. Everyone's on the floor. It's 50-50.
Pretty
Crimson,
cool.
crimson red, and burnt orange. I love it.
Yeah, especially just being a neutral site game, you don't get those very often, especially for rivals. Let's get into the game. I mean,
Number
I
one.
want it to be interesting, but we'll see.
Um,
How does Quinn Ewers look coming off injury? I mean,
I'm more interested in to see how does Oklahoma, if they do it, how does Oklahoma pull off the upset? Um, the thing I'm really worried about for Oklahoma is their offensive line. It looked really bad against Tennessee, and Texas is going to be angry. They should have won the game last year. They could have had an undefeated season last year, but Oklahoma ruined it. Gabriel ruined it. Michael Hawkins is going to have a Dylan Gabriel game. They're going to have to start strong too. Because last year in the Red River,
they got off to a quick start.
Quinn Ewers threw a pick six on the first drive. And they had the revenge factor on him. This year, Texas is angry. They're more talented than you, they're deeper than you, and they're angry. They want this game bad. And they're rested. I mean,
Yeah,
both teams are rested, but Texas, they're going to be ready to roll.
Texas is more healthy.
The thing, the way I see Oklahoma win this game is you make sure Texas does not get the run game going. That's the way you do it.
You gotta have
If you
receivers make
can
plays.
make Ewers throw the ball, you have a chance because Oklahoma's defense is really good. But Texas gets off to a hot start, game over.
I'm gonna see how Ewers plays off injury. I mean, he hasn't played for what, 3 weeks now,
Do we
and
know
I'm
the
worried
Oklahoma
about.
receivers? Are they
That's
going to
that's not a
any?
worry for me for Oklahoma. If they're not getting receivers back, their receivers, whoever they have playing receivers, gonna have to make plays,
They're going
and
to need
it's gonna
at
be tough.
least two of their starters to come back. Nick Anderson.
Yeah, I think he's gone for a while.
They need Deion Burks bad.
Yeah,
He's probably the guy that if you need him, this is the reason you bring him in.
difference maker.
He's awesome. So Oklahoma
Like
wins this
Hawkins' first big game. I mean, he played against the Auburn game. That's a pretty big environment, but I mean, this game means more to everybody.
you're gonna have to scramble. He's gonna have to scramble. He's gonna have to make some throws. And I wouldn't be surprised if they put Jackson Arnold back in because he's the more experienced quarterback. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I
They
mean,
kind of have like the same experience at this point. I mean, Arnold's what is only he only started the first
yeah,
3 to 4 games, and then in that bowl game, and that was it.
yeah. Tech Oklahoma needs this to be a Tennessee like game to make it like a Tennessee game. They need to
Yeah,
make it like that.
just yeah, I agree with that. Not like a you don't want it to be a quick scoring game. You want it to be in the trenches. You don't want Tennessee. You want to give Texas easy chances down the field with Isaiah Bond and the other receivers.
Yeah, they. It's not just Isaiah Vaughn. They got Blue.
Yeah, Blue is a solid, very
They
good
got
running.
Black from Bama. They got players on the outside.
Yep, it'll
And
be a
now
quick
let's get
game.
into the true game of the week, the big one in Autzen. Ohio State, probably the number two, probably the number one team in the nation, but right now they're number two. Going against number three, a team that shouldn't really be number three. Gone, but yeah, whatever. Ohio State going into Oregon to take on the Ducks in a top three matchup. Here we go. What do you think? How does and this is a conference game too. I forgot. This is a
Yeah,
conference
this
game.
game matters even more.
This game is a conference game. So going into the game, Ohio State is a they should be like they're like
They're like 3 point favorite right now.
they're minus three. What do you think about this game? I
Look,
went
Oregon,
first for the
we're not
I
going to
went first
sugarcoat
for the Red
anything.
River.
Yeah,
Go for it.
I'm not going to sugarcoat anything about Oregon. They've been very subpar through the first couple weeks. However, Boise State's a good team. Some of the teams that they've been close with, Iowa,
Idaho.
Idaho, yeah, that's really the one. But they've been subpar. They've just done enough to win. They've been thinking about all their players in the locker room have been thinking about this game all season. This is their game right here if they want to belong in the Big Ten. And Dylan Gabriel has, look, if we're grading him on a grade level scale, I'd probably give him like a C right now. He has not been good. I think this is the game where he proves why Phil Knight spent all that NIL money for Dylan Gabriel, and he's going to have a game. I think he's going to have a really good game. But I also think Will Howard, he's a solid quarterback, but he hasn't played anybody good yet either. So he needs to also prove why he made that jump from Kansas State to Ohio State and prove why he's the guy. Because there's still doubt in the along outside the country a lot on Will Howard if he's the guy that can lead Ohio State to the national championship after spending $7 million in the offseason in NIL on Caleb Downs,
Ohio
different
State could have
pieces.
Ohio State probably could have gotten Cam Ward, but instead they got Will Howard.
Yeah.
Prove why you got him over Cam Ward.
And I think Jeremy, they have some really good receivers, a lot of good receivers in this game. You got Evan Stewart, Tez Johnson, Trayshawn Holden for Oregon, and then you have Ohio State and Megabuka, Jeremiah Smith, who's insane.
A freak. He's an
Yeah.
alien. He's an alien. Like you want to know how good Ryan Williams has been? Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams are probably the two best players on their teams. Like I'm not even going to lie. He's an animal. He's a alien. Jeremiah Smith's an alien.
Then you got Quidshon Junkins. I mean, you got Quidshon Junkins as your running back. I mean, for Oregon, that's awesome.
And if he doesn't work, Travion Henderson.
Jordan James is a solid back for Oregon. This game. I'm really interested to see how Oregon's defense plays because Ohio State's defense is always solid for the most part. Oregon's defense has been shaky, especially against pass heavy teams. I mean, they were bad against Washington. They cannot get off the field against Washington. And now you got a team with elite receivers all around. And I mean, if this game was played in the horseshoe, I think Ohio State would probably be favored like 13 and a half.
No, I'd say
They're favored by 3 at home
they'd
on
be
the
a
road.
touchdown favorite. Ohio State would be a
10. They'd
touchdown
probably be a
favorite.
10 point favorite.
No, touchdown.
Outson Stadium is an elite environment, so they probably accounts for like touchdown favorite. Would probably
Let's
count for like
also
4 points.
remember this. The University of Oregon, they haven't had a big football game in Autzen in a
Yeah,
long time. All their big games have been on the road.
College Game Day is definitely is. I haven't. They're in Oregon, right?
Yep.
Okay, I'm just making sure. I didn't really see anything on that. This is going to be an awesome game. It better live up to the hype. And the only sucky thing, it's on NBC at the same time as LSU, Ole Miss LSU. I don't know which game. I'm gonna have to be flipping back and forth because that
There's three games that are solid, I think. In
I might
that,
have to have YouTube TV multi-view running because
I wish I had multi TV because these are the weeks
it's
I'm
gonna have to set up 2 devices.
probably.
I
Uh,
mean, I'm
This
worried.
the key matchup for me in this game is the can Oregon run the ball?
Yeah,
If Oregon can't run the ball, then Ohio State's going to run them out.
they need to take
Simple
some
as
time
that.
off the.
It's obviously going to be quarterback matchup. It's obviously quarterbacks. Whoever plays better is going to probably win. But I think if Oregon can run the ball, then that really helps.
Well, but it helps both QBs are familiar with each other because they're both from the Big 12.
Yeah.
So that helps. I mean, I don't know. This game is very. I haven't really like fully watched Ohio State. I don't know about you. I mean, they've been haven't played
Both
any
teams haven't
games.
really been tested. Like,
That's what I'm saying. I
see,
mean, I guess
Oregon's been more, but both teams
tested.
kind of cruised into this game.
Yeah,
Both these teams probably haven't shown much because they've been waiting for this game.
that's what I'm thinking. That's why I've just been seeing subpar performances from Oregon. They're not trying to show much. Also, Dylan Gabriel just hasn't looked good at all. I mean, if Dylan Gabriel was looking good, it'd probably be a much different story. But
But he turns it on in the big games.
weird.
Last year, he played great in the Red River, which was a huge game.
Yeah,
I mean, this week in general is massive, but also during that time slot, Nicholas already talked about it, but Ole Miss, a 3.5 point favorite going into Baton Rouge. The over under 61 and a half. That's
I don't like how Ole Miss. I really don't get why Vegas is favoring Ole Miss by 3.5. I don't see it after. I guess they got a big win in South Carolina on the road. Look, South
It's
Carolina's,
because of that it's because of LSU's defense.
I guess, but I mean, last year that game was an absolute movie. That game was insane. It was just up and
Oh,
down,
it's
up
a
and
movie. This will, if Ole Miss pulls this off, this will be the first time since probably, I think, '06 and '07 or '07 '08. I saw it on ESPN earlier today
in
that
a
they
while.
gone back to back against LSU. They have not gone back to back against LSU in a long time.
This gives me like back flashbacks to when they went to LSU 2 years ago. Everybody was out on LSU, and LSU
Jaden
whooped Ole
Daniels,
Miss. Yep,
Jaden Daniels coming out party, the
yep,
LSU.
in 2022.
I can
I
see.
think another thing is about LSU's offense versus Ole Miss's defense. I feel like if LSU starts moving the ball, you're going to see Ole Miss's defensive linemen go down with injuries and try to like slow down the tempo of LSU because Ole Miss has a lot. If Ole Miss has a lot more depth on their defensive line, so they could still sub in guys in and out, even if they go out with injury. When because that's still not a rule. You can go down with an injury and get out of the game. That's we were watching this. You were watching the South Carolina Ole Miss game. Ole
Yeah,
Miss. Every time South Carolina was moving the ball good, you would see a lineman go down and they would be back in 2 plays. That's gonna they're gonna you're gonna see that 10 times at least. They need a
Ole
counter.
Miss needs Trey Harris healthy for this to pull this off. People are gonna probably pick Ole Miss, but there's one thing that I hold higher than anything. Jackson Dart has not played good on the road. He hasn't at Ole Miss, and you're going into Death Valley at night.
And they're celebrating their 100th anniversary of Death Valley.
Good. This is going to be. I'm mad that this. I'm so glad this game's at night, but also, why can't this be like Ohio State Orient? Like, I'm going to be flipping back and forth. Like, this game, I'm just as excited for as Ohio State
Yeah, I'm just
Oregon.
as
Like,
excited for this game.
just as excited as both. Maybe I'm SEC biased, but I love SEC football. And this is going to
Yeah,
be a shootout. And this is going to be so entertaining. Nussmeier's going to play great.
yeah.
They,
I'm
that
not
would
really
be,
worried about Nussmeier. He's kind of already proven
it's
himself to
really
me.
the
So he's
defense
a
for
good
LSU.
quarterback. I think Chris Hilton, Chris Hilton, I think he's what linebacker on LSU. I think he's questionable for this game. I
Mhm.
think I saw Brian Kelly mention today his like recovery has not really gone as smoothly as they'd like, so he's still questionable. But I think what you mentioned with Jackson Dart struggling on the road, I agree. He his deep ball is not good,
It's not great.
not good.
And you need that.
He underthrows so many open guys. They could
You
have,
need that, especially to beat this kind of defense.
yeah,
So we'll get into predictions really soon. I just want to go over how good us college football addicts and fans are going to be eating this week. This is the week everyone's been circling this year. There's good reason. Let's start with we got a game actually tonight.
you
Getting
got
American
games every day.
favorite.
Next 55 days, you have football. Next
Yeah,
55 days, you have football, folks. Come on now. Doesn't get much better than that.
I
Well,
dreamed it.
54 now because yesterday there
Let's
was a
get
game.
into Friday. So Friday we got three games. Northwestern Maryland, probably a cover your eyes game to be honest. The
Yeah.
the top games at 9:30. This works perfectly for me because I work late on that. Utah goes into Tempe. That's scary. That's not an easy place to play, Arizona State.
Yeah, Utah. I've been watching Arizona State some this year. They have a transfer quarterback. He's solid. They have a pretty good running back. It was good. It was a good game last week. They scored a late touchdown to beat Kansas. Kansas is just not. They're a good offense. They're not really good this year, which is kind of sad to see. But
Yeah.
it'll be an interesting game for sure. But
And then after big noon and game day, we get into the slate. Obviously, South Carolina, Alabama is the headliner in the 11 a.m. But we also got some games like Wisconsin, Rutgers, not
interesting.
bad. Washington going to Iowa, really interesting. Iowa's only a 2.5 point favorite in that. We've got Toledo and Buffalo, cover your eyes game. Memphis and South Florida in the group of five. Another solid game. Solid game.
Yep.
Two fallen group, two fallen teams, Cincinnati, UCF.
That's gonna be a good offensive game. If you like offense, watch that game.
Stanford, Notre, and then we get into the 2:30 slate. We didn't really talk about this game, but we can talk about it now because we got a little bit of time. The headliner in the 2:30 slate is prop.
Definitely the Red River.
It's definitely the Red River, but this is a close second. Even though they lost last week, this is a huge game in the Big Ten.
Yes.
State, the number 4 team in the country, a 5-by-5 goes into Southern California to take on the Trojans.
Oh man, I am. This game will actually be very interesting. We can get a quick preview. Man, ten.
I'm worried.
I
I'm
feel bad.
worried.
I'm worried about USC, but I'm also worried about Penn State.
I'm worried for Penn State.
What Penn State needs to do is they need to use their two good running backs, Katron Allen, Nick Singleton,
Hmm.
and do what all the other Big Ten teams have done to beat USC so far. I mean, pound the rock, and pound the rock. Play action, Drew Hour, get your tight ends involved, get your receivers involved. Their defense, I mean, Penn State's defense is always stingy. They're never elite. They're always good, good, never elite. It'll be tested this week. I mean, you got a high flying USC offense who, if they're not pissed off now, they better be. I mean, you've taken two losses, two Big Ten losses in a row. You're 0-2 in Big Ten. You made all this big money move and realignment to the Big Ten to show you belong. You don't want that Pac-12 title anymore. Well, if you don't want to be 0-3, and this is a game if you want to prove you belong in SC Lincoln Riley, you got to win this game.
Whoever loses this game between the head coach is going to get so much hate.
Yeah,
So, why am I worried for Penn State? They obviously got the run game. The thing I'm worried about for Penn State is if this game gets into a shootout, which I think
yeah.
it could be. I think it is,
But Minnesota's defense is not that good, and they held USC.
and
But given the team was in Minnesota, though.
that's my second point. I think losing to Minnesota was the worst thing to happen to Penn State.
Yeah,
I think that was they're going to be completely focused. They're like, all right, you guys want to be in the Big Ten? Be Penn State. And it's in Southern California, and Penn State's flying to the West Coast. That's not easy. So, should Penn State win this game? Yes. Should they cover? Yes. But I'm worried.
yeah, I'm very
Other
worried.
big games that week. Obviously the Red River, Purdue and Illinois. A little game in the Big Ten at 2:30, and then Arizona BYU. BYU is only 4-point favorite.
That's an
Little
interesting game.
little worried about that. Mississippi State plays Georgia or Mississippi State, and now we get into the 6 o'clock slate. If you have multicast, get it ready because we got some games. This game, I think, let's not preview this because we're kind of running low on time. This game's worried. I'm worried a little bit for this game. Florida at Tennessee, a rivalry. Florida looked good, and Tennessee kind of
Bad.
didn't look great. Watch out, Tennessee. Watch out. It is a
But
rivalry.
if it was on the road, I'd be a watch
I'd
out
be
zone. But
if it was in the swamp, I'd be really
they
worried.
got it in Neyland, so
I'm
they're kind
not.
of a little bit more.
We got Ohio State, Oregon, the headliner. Ole Miss, LSU, the two headliners. So that's 3 games. Vanderbilt, Kentucky's 6:45 on the SEC network. This is kind
I
of
I
that's
feel
for
bad
another
for.
game.
I feel bad for. I think Kentucky is gonna beat Vanderbilt.
I do too.
Vanderbilt's riding way too high right now.
And then starting at 7 o'clock, Iowa State 3-point favorite going into Morgantown at night.
That's a good game.
That's an upset alert waiting to happen for Iowa State. I hope not.
Garrett Green's a good quarter. I like Garrett Green.
Yeah, and I think Iowa State. A 9:15 game, Kansas State goes to Colorado. Another upset alert.
I like offense in this game.
I love offense.
Shootout.
And then the 10 o'clock game, we got Ashton Genty and the Boise State Broncos, 21-point favorites going to Honolulu to take on Hawaii, the Rainbow Warriors.
I mean, two things that travel over across the pond, not even across the pond, but across the water. onto the islands, run game and defense. And I mean, Boise State may not have it. I haven't really seen much about their defense, but you know what they do have is a run game. And watch out, Hawaii.
Watch out, Hawaii, because Ashton Genty's coming.
All right, now
Pause.
we told you guys the whole platter for Saturday. Let's get into the picks, and we
So
both did
let's
bad.
start off with this. We both really sucked. We
Yeah.
both sucked in our predictions. I won barely because I picked SMU and you picked Louisville. Doesn't really matter. I am
What
very.
matters is this week,
What matters is this week and bragging rights between you and me. Let's
and we
start
have
off
a
with
lot
the
of
Friday.
games that are coin flips.
So the games we pulled out some games. Let's start with the Friday night game. Utah going to Tempe. Take on the Sun Devils.
I like Utah.
Utah.
I haven't seen. I don't really like Arizona State's defense, and I think Utah's better defense, better team.
I want to. Cam Rising's questionable in this game.
I think they're
Uh,
better without the Cam Rising.
really?
I mean, they look good against. I mean, they kind of like held their own against Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's not a good team, but it's still on the road with their backup.
I'm gonna pick Utah. Wouldn't be surprised though.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I'll tip my cap to Arizona
I
State
will
if they.
be watching this game. Definitely watching this game. Um, next, let's go in. Let's head straight into the 2:30 because I think we're both going to pick Bam. We were both going to pick Bam.
Yeah, there's not really any other games to pick.
Let's head into the tertiary slate. Red River, Texas, and Oklahoma. I want to pick Oklahoma so bad, but I don't see it. Texas is angry. Longhorns.
I'll take Texas in a close one. In a close one.
I hope it's close. I hope Oklahoma wins. I hope it's close. Honestly, I just hope it's close. I just hope it's a fun Red River because bad Red River suck. Next game, Penn State at USC.
We are.
Penn,
I
Penn State.
better running game. USC does.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess Jaquavius Marks. He's a solid running back. They looked like they were running it good against USC. I mean, not against USC, but against Minnesota and Michigan. But like, I trust Penn State more.
and
And
now
as a Big Ten member, I trust Penn State more.
I trust Penn State more, and it's because of the run game. I've got my upset picks a little later, but right now I've got Penn State. I did say I'd be worried for Penn State, but I also think
USC is a dumpster
they got
fire.
the run game. Let's
Wouldn't
get
be shocked though.
the top five matchup: Ohio State and Oregon in Autzen.
I'm gonna take the Ducks here. Sco Duck.
You're gonna take the upset.
I think Dylan Gabriel shows why Phil Knight bought him.
I like Ohio State, and it's because of that defense. I believe in that defense, and I think
Maybe Caleb Downs gets his first interception of the year.
that's good. No.
All right,
I just think the run game. I just think the run game. I just think
we'll see though.
I'm picking Ohio State. I like to see Oregon win this game because I think it'd be cool for Oregon to win this game. Just coming into Autzen,
For
you
all
win.
the fans.
I think that'd be awesome for Oregon. You know
Uh,
what? Screw it. I'm gonna pick Oregon.
let's go. Let's
I
go
bet
Duck.
I like quarterback. I like Gabriel more than Howard. Oregon.
Already. Ole Miss heading in the Tiger Stadium at night.
LSU. LSU. Give me the Tigers.
Yep. LSU.
Give me the Tigers. Death Valley at night is a different game.
I just hate to Jackson Dart on the road. And
Don't
I've been waiting. I've been to saying that LSU is going to win this game for a while, so they can't doubt me.
Next we got Iowa State at West Virginia going into Morgantown. I'm
I
gonna
did
pick
not like
Gus.
what I saw from Rocco Beck last week.
What are you gonna pick?
I'm picking West Virginia.
I was gonna pick West Virginia, but then you picked them, so I'm picking Iowa State. Give me the tornado. Give me the Cyclones.
Hey, West Virginia may have two losses, but they are undefeated in Big 12 play.
Next, we got Kansas State and Colorado. Ooh,
Kansas State was talked about being in the Big 12 championship all year. If they want to prove it, they got to go into Boulder and win this game.
who you got?
But on the other hand, I got to bust down by AP with some perfect timing. Give me Shadur.
I'm gonna pick.
They've looked so different this year. I mean, their offense is a lot better. I guess his protection is a lot better. Their defense is not that bad. I mean, they stopped a good running game against UCF, but we don't know. UCF made us be bad. I mean, they probably are, but
Thing I'm worried about with Kansas State is how
quarterback.
BYU beat them. I think Avery. I think he's solid.
Thing they beat them, they got stops in the red zone because the first half they were getting off the field in the red zone. BYU was,
I'm picking
and
Kansas State.
this needs to be Avery Johnson's coming out party though. He needs to
Yeah,
show himself. He's a really good elite runner,
I got Kansas State.
subpar thrower. He
I
needs to
think
show.
Kansas State gets a stop.
I want to be shocked with Kansas State winning, but I don't want to lose without taking Colorado.
And the final pick we got Florida at Tennessee. And if we
GB.
can, do you want to pick the spread?
Yeah, let's pick the spread.
Tennessee for the second straight week because we picked
Well,
the
I'm not losing on them twice. So give me Tennessee.
15 and a half. You got to win by more than 15 and a half.
They kind of need to make a statement this week, or I mean, if you do want your fans to be pumped up for next week's game, I mean, they're going to be pumped up anyways for with Bama coming into town always. But if you want hope in their fans after last week's stinker, you have to win this game big.
I'm picking Tennessee as well. I wanted to pick Florida and maybe they cover, but
I could see Florida covering. I mean, I'm
I
not.
could easily see Florida covering, but I've been hurt too much by Florida this year in my bets. I've been hurt too many times. Florida, Florida's let me down so many times.
Yeah, me too.
All right, and that will do it for the Fourth of Mile podcast. We'll be back. We want to be back for the NFL Friday.
Friday. We'll
Friday.
this Friday this weekend to get you guys set for next week.
Yep, and that will do it for Fourth of Mile podcast. For Nicholas Elliott, I'm Jay Zaza. Have a great weekend, everyone.